closer to home, save money on gas, and be rewarded for your hard work and attendance, then Bellisio Foods is looking for you. That's right, Bellisio Foods is now hiring for multiple positions and shifts with great employee benefits, an on-site health clinic, competitive wages, and advancement opportunities. Bellisio Foods is a company that truly values their employees. Apply online at BellisioFoods.com/careers.
Good morning, everyone, and happy Thursday after a night of we finally got some rain here in the area, and boy, a rain it was. But welcome to the show. Our guest today, Aaron Dupree. We're going to talk about all things OHillCo Festival. And we are so excited. I cannot believe it is time for these fairs and festivals, like the fall ones.
Oh, it's been a quick year.
It.
Yeah, it seems like we were just here for 4th of July and fairs and.
Well, and that's what I was talking about with our fire chief, Dave Channel, yesterday. So Jackson had to postpone the fireworks because we got rained out on the 3rd. And they said, well, we'll do it Labor Day weekend. And I was like, well, that's forever from now. And here we are. It's Labor Day weekend. Yeah. And shortly right after Labor Day weekend comes the OHillCo Festival. So
yeah, it's been a crazy fast year. And, you know, we picked up a couple more events this year. So we picked up the 4th of July that we do. And, you know, we were like, this won't be too bad. But no, they're a lot closer together than they seem like when you look at a calendar. So it's just one thing into another. And here we are at festival time already. It's crazy.
That's right. Hey, I am just, jumping up and down and doing backflips figuratively, not literally, for hopefully you all got some rain last night as well. Did have some storms in the area, and we'll get to that in just a minute. Some damage here around the area, but it was nice to see some rain. And
it was.
Have those temperatures drop a little bit.
Yeah, I think you guys might have got a little bit more than we did with the severe side of it. We got some really good rain for a few hours.
Yeah,
but I think they got some hail down here, didn't they?
Yeah, there was some awful wind, some damage to homes, and we will get to that during the news. Unfortunately, not a good exchange for some rain. We just, if the rain would just fall out of the sky and not hurt people's homes, that would be the best case scenario. But
it was much needed though. Things were so dry.
It was. And for our fireworks this coming weekend, as we talked with Dave Channel yesterday about the safety factor of it, it's ironic. It got rained out the 4th of July, and now it's so dry that they're afraid
concerned with that side of it.
Yeah, so now they're dealing with that, but that rain will certainly help things out. So, OHillCo Festival, let's get to it. Let's talk about some of the great things that you have going on. And see, it'll start next week?
Wednesday, yeah.
Gosh.
Yeah, less than a week away.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, we're excited. It's coming together. It's one of those things where, there's always things you have to work on, clear up until day of, but it's looking really good. The weather is looking pretty solid right now for the week.
A little bit cooler.
A little bit cooler. I mean, the rain kind of came out of nowhere last night, so we're hoping that doesn't happen again next week. But it's looking good, and so we've got everything set. We've got plenty of entertainment and food and fun, and we're just excited to kind of kick things off.
Very, very good. And this is how many years now?
This is 51.
51, because last year was the big
our 50th year. The city's 150th, and Jim Bottling's 100th, I think.
Yes.
It was all on the same.
It was
same
so
year.
cool to celebrate all that. Are they going to fire the cannon again?
They've talked about it. I haven't heard.
That's terrifying.
I haven't heard it for sure yet of whether or not they're going to do that. But everybody seemed to enjoy it a lot, so they've talked about maybe making it a regular thing. But
I loved it. Like I was terrified that they were going to fire this cannon that's been there for 7 million years. And is the powder going to go backwards, or is the whole cannon going to blow up, or what's going to happen?
It's just going to flare out like in the cartoons. What's going to happen?
And the funny part was Jeremiah was there to videotape it, and the video even you could tell it was some powerful stuff.
It was a pretty good blast.
Yeah.
It was pretty impressive. So I'm not sure yet.
Okay.
but
up in limbo.
May just be a surprise.
Okay, cool. So what are the things that we can talk about here on the program?
Things that we do know about for sure is, we kick off on Wednesday.
Okay.
And Wednesday is always kind of our hometown opening night. So we have our hometown parade, which kicks off and kind of opens the festival up at 6:30. And then we've changed things up just a little bit this year with our queens. We used to do a pre-contest prior to.
Yes.
And then we announced during the festival. So this year we decided to do everything at the festival.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So Wednesday night we'll be doing what we call our mini queens, which is really just sort of a fun thing that we decided to do for the younger girls that can't really answer the questions and and go through the big process that the older girls do. So it's completely random the way they win. Each girl gets to pick a flower when they come on stage. They get to wear their dress and get all fancy like the little girls like. And the flowers are wrapped, so they don't know what kind of flowers inside. So the girls that get the 3 special flowers are the ones that end up as the little miss or the mini misses.
How cute.
So yeah, it's fun. So it gives them a chance to sort of take part and I guess start into their lifetime of queens contest if that's what they decide they want to do.
Yep.
But it keeps it fun for the kids, and they all seem to like it. And they actually do a really good job of understanding too. I mean, you'd think you'd have a lot of really disappointed, upset girls, and I think you get some, but
it's a good life lesson.
Yeah, but they handle it really well. So
good.
So that kicks off on Wednesday.
The parents are a whole other story, but
sometimes we have pretty good luck overall. We can't complain.
No, that's fine. Yeah,
but you do, the parents take things seriously these days, and sometimes they're a little more upset than the kids are, but typically pretty good sports. So, and then we have our big girls contest. Will be on Wednesday night, following the parade. Okay. So we kind of swap that up a little bit, and then Thursday night will be our little girls and our junior girls contest.
Okay.
On Thursday on the main stage. Yep.
Awesome.
So then they get to enjoy the festival for the rest of the week and find out Saturday of festival who the winners are. So we're excited about that change. We think it'll bring a little bit more excitement to the festival. And
sure.
It lets the girls participate a little bit more too, because, before they found out if they were one of the top 3 and then
that was it.
Into festival before they found out. So we think it'll work to give them a little bit more time in the festival and to sort of understand what goes on too. Technically, the girls who win this year serve through next festival. So their actual festival that is their festival isn't until next year. So it gives them some time to sort of see what it's all about and to sort of get their way into the excitement, I guess.
Love that.
Yeah, so we decided to do that, and then we have entertainment every night too. So the first night we've got a group called the Michael Christopher Band, which is they do country, some classic rock kind of stuff, things like that. They're really, really good. And then let's see, Thursday night we have the Appalachian Outlaws, which they do a lot of country and classic rock and kind of a nice mix of stuff, and they're fantastic. Friday is the ever popular karaoke, where anybody can be a star.
Love that.
Although some that want to be are not, but it's fun and it gives them a chance.
That just makes it more interesting.
It does. It's, it's like the reason why people used to watch American Idol. And it wasn't always for the really good singers. Sometimes it was for the entertaining ones also. So, but everybody always loves the karaoke, and we usually get a pretty good turnout, and some people who are entertaining, and then some people who are really, really good singers. And so we're always excited to see what shows up for karaoke night. And then Saturday we have a band called the Lee Gant Band, and they do a great job, and they do a nice mix of stuff. So we're pretty excited. And of course, all that stuff is no charge, free.
That's right.
Just show up. And,
downtown streets of Wellston.
Yeah,
it's not hard to find.
No, it's not, and it's right there. We flipped our festival a few years back to where the stage and the main part of the festival is in Pride Park.
Yes.
Which has been really great for us.
Yeah. What a wonderful venue! It's such a beautiful area.
It is.
You all are blessed with such a gorgeous downtown there.
Yeah, it is. It is worked out really well for us, and it puts the depot more into play where it's not so far away, and the park area, and so it's worked out great, and we're excited to keep moving forward with it. So it's been nice.
Very cool. All right, so let's talk about some of the the food and Do they still do some of the games and all that stuff? Like they had the Coal Miner Olympics, and is that still a thing?
It was. We didn't do Coal Miner Olympics this year.
Okay.
And there wasn't really a main reason other than we kind of moved it over and we did it with 4th of July too.
Oh, okay.
And we thought it was a little more fun with 4th of July and less cramped.
Okay.
Because with the festival, there's so much going on that. Because we used to do it on the first night of festival. So there's so much going on, and it was kind of so rushed that we decided we're going to focus and do it big on the 4th with our 4th event.
Love that.
And that's kind of the nice thing about having multiple events too. You can move stuff around, and we don't want to have the same thing at every single event. So we're not doing it this year, but we're going to bring it back again for the 4th next year. And everybody seems to have a good time with that. And the 4th's a little more laid back too, so you don't have all the other stuff going on. With parades, a lot of the people who did the Coal Miner Olympics were cheerleading groups and the Queens groups that have 100 other things to do because they have booths and they have the parade and they have games. And so we just decided to try to make it a little bit easier on everybody. And so we moved it just to the 4th of July. But we'll have, a lot of the same other things that we have going on. We have a car show that's on Saturday.
Oh, okay.
That goes on.
And where is that?
It is on Broadway. So it is on the north side of the festival area, kind of in front of where Rusted Barn was, the bowling alley, pizza pub.
Yeah, like down from the cannon.
Yeah, right down from the cannon. Absolutely.
That's like the way I look at it is like you turn at the cannon and you go that way.
Yeah, or you turn by Johnny's, by the Chinese place. Everybody knows where the Chinese is. So.
By the way, I've never in my life met a more infamous place than Johnny's.
Oh, Johnny is.
They are awesome.
They are. And what's always amazing is he knows everybody that walks in the door. He never forgets a name.
And his wife, yes. I haven't. Anyway, I just got a text from my husband that we'll be there tonight, guys. Just to let you know. He was like, Johnny's. Oh, yeah. It's always Johnny's.
You can't go wrong. You can't go wrong.
But yes, they know everybody.
Yes.
And like, it is.
Yeah, and it's a
mind-blowing.
It's a directional point quite often. I mean, I can't even tell you how many times I've said, well, you go to Johnny's and then you turn left.
Yeah.
Or you turn right. And it really doesn't even matter where people are from. I mean, they could another state and you're like, you go to Johnny's and they're like, oh, okay, yeah, we know where Johnny's is.
Yeah, we know where everybody knows where Johnny's is.
Everybody.
And the thing is, it's not called Johnny's, but everybody knows Johnny's.
Yeah,
so no one knows what Peking Cook is and
No.
what Johnny's is.
No, you tell people that and they're like, what?
The what?
Johnny's. Oh, okay, yeah.
Exactly.
Definitely.
But we digress. But yes,
yeah.
that's totally true. They are awesome.
Yeah, no, they are great. But it's right down from there. So if you go to the light, the Cannon / Johnny's, you turn left and it's right down on Broadway.
Yes.
It takes up both sides of Broadway.
Okay. And how do you, who's in charge of the car show?
The Masonic Lodge is who organizes that for us.
Okay.
So I believe they have the sign up day of where you can sign up that morning.
Okay. So you can just show up.
Yeah, I think they do registration that morning starting at like 9 o'clock.
Okay.
Perfect. So anybody can just show up if you got a car you want to show off.
Yep.
You can show up right there in that area on Broadway. If you drive in Broadway either direction, you're going to hit it eventually. So it's hard to miss.
That's right.
It takes up the whole road. So, and then we also do a Touch a Truck event on that Saturday also, which is
so cool.
Yeah, the fire department helps organize that for us. Corey Ireland puts a ton of time into that. He just, I think he likes it. I think he doesn't like to admit it, but he likes doing it. So, there's fire trucks and you'll have EMS and police and dump trucks. And
I mean, so here's the thing about that. Bring the kids, but also harness your inner child.
Yeah.
Because I feel like when I got to go out to the State Highway Patrol had an open house and I got to sit in one of the cars and I was like, can I push that button?
By choice. You got to sit in one of the cars by choice.
Yes, by choice. In the front seat.
Yeah.
But I'm like, oh my God, what does that do? Like, and you're like a kid.
You'd be amazed.
It's awesome.
At the fire station, I work at the fire station in Wellston, and when kids groups will show up, the parents that are with them, I enjoy it as much as the kids do most of the time.
We're like kids. Let you be a kid at heart again.
Yeah, absolutely. Pushing buttons, making noises.
I want to honk the horn.
Yeah. Yeah, you got to step in with the parents more than you do the kids usually. It's like, I think that's enough siren.
Yeah, I think, could you back up?
Yeah, but no, so it's exciting. And again, it's no cost. It's a whole week of stuff that you can come out and realistically do for very little money.
Yes.
We try to keep things as cheap as possible. Even our rides, we do a $10 armband each day. And we also do a $30 pre-sale.
Oh.
And we usually take it into the first day also. That's one of those things that we kind of play it by ear to see.
If you wanted to get those $30 pre-sale, where do you get those?
They can message our
Tickets.
Facebook or get in touch with any of the committee members that
Okay.
they might know. We're probably also going to have them one or two places that they can pick it up. Our organizer for that is still working that out, but so yeah, they can pick that up. So 4 days of rides for $30, so less than $10 a day. And we actually we do our best to keep rides as low as possible. Rides are really tough right now. Yeah. The state passed some new laws a couple of years back, and the ride companies just started dwindling. So it's really tough to find a ride company, and the cost is crazy with ride companies.
It is, and you understand the safety aspect of it.
Oh, absolutely.
Doing what you do. But yeah, in talking with some of the ride company, there's a lot of new laws and regulations that they have to follow, and sometimes they're not they aren't quite sure how to do it, or not understanding what Ohio wants.
Yeah, so the numbers dropped off a lot. And it wasn't just like the bad companies getting weeded out. It was some of the good companies were just like, it's just so much work now.
It's just not worth it.
We're ready to retire, or, ready to move on. And so it's getting harder and harder to find a ride company. And of course, that means the cost goes up because supply and demand. Yeah. So we've tried to do what we can. And we actually, when it comes to rides, we don't make any money off rides. We actually usually end up spending money on rides to keep the prices down. So when we talk to ride companies, we're like, this is where we want to be. And they're like, whoa, that's...
They're like, come back with a real number.
Yeah. So we end up throwing money towards it to help out. And, luckily we have some fantastic sponsors, and the support in the community is amazing. And we're able to do that to try to keep it affordable.
So when it comes to rides now, last year, if I remember correctly, you had like an inflatable kind of area. Is that going to be a thing?
Yeah.
Because kids love those.
Yeah. And that's what we did last year, because we've had a tough time with the ride company. And so we've got a really good ride company that's been great with us. They're just a smaller company. So we supplemented that by adding some inflatables, extra inflatables to it. So we'll have the same thing again this year. There'll be 8 or 9 rides, and then 5 or 6 inflatables on top of it. So,
are you a ride person?
They're all right.
I have this problem. It's called my stomach doesn't like them anymore. They used to. It used to not be a thing. But
it used to be great. I used to love them. Yes. And now when I ride with my kids, the round stuff, the just
anything
constant
that goes
circle
round,
stuff,
like even the merry-go-round is bad.
Yeah, I do not do as well these days.
Yeah, I can do roller coasters are okay. Because I think it's because you're moving like fast the whole time. I don't know, but the stuff that spins.
No, I'm not much of a fan anymore. Them. Yeah. Oh, yeah. And rides are so exciting, and we're trying to continue to build onto it and get bigger with that.
Will they be kind of in the park area as well?
They will run. They will start sort of right by the Mexican restaurant.
Okay.
Juan's. So right there on First Street. And then they go down Ohio Avenue both ways.
Okay.
Sort of in front of Mexican and the bank, and down through that way. So basically the festival kind of does a big eye.
Gotcha.
So all the food and a lot of that stuff is down on Railroad Avenue by the depot.
Yes.
And then it moves up beside the Mexican restaurant and Scotty's on 4th, and then spreads back down Ohio Avenue for the rides. So yeah, all right there in that nice tight area.
Follow the people. You won't miss it.
It's pretty hard to miss, So
let's talk about food for a minute. What kind of food vendors you going to have? And I'm gonna put you on the spot. What's your favorite?
See, I got to work with vendors, so you're gonna make me make them mad when I say.
You can say Johnny's.
Johnny's. Again, you can't go wrong. Johnny could put a trailer down there. I'd be fine with it. But no, we have a selection of festival food, so we try not to overdo it. We want the festival to work for everybody, including the people that come and support us from the outside. So when it comes to food vendors, we're going to have, our typical burger place, fries, cotton candy, elephant ears, funnel cakes, walking tacos, deep fried Oreos. Probably my favorite would have to be bourbon chicken. It's probably my favorite.
It's become a real festival thing. There used to be, do you remember the City Center Mall?
Yes.
There was a restaurant in the City Center Mall. We're really aging ourselves, by the way. Called Cajun Big Easy, and it was in the food court.
Yep.
And that was my first experience with bourbon chicken. Yeah. And I went to Capitol, so we would literally drive to the city center pay money to park in the parking garage, go in and
just to go in and get it.
Just to go in and get that stuff and eat it. And
yeah.
That's where I was introduced to it. And then I didn't see it for a long time. And now it's like a thing again.
Yeah, traditional mall food. That's when you got it.
So good.
You know, nobody in the area ever had it. So every time you went to the mall, it was like, I mean, we went to Florida one year and we went to the mall and, you know, we're looking for someplace nice to go eat. And it's like, we end up choosing Cajun and bourbon chicken in a mall when we were on
gravy
vacation.
Over the rice. And
yeah, I mean, who wants like fresh seafood or something, something southy? But no, that's probably my favorite. And our vendor that comes does a great job. He's always at the Apple Festival too.
Yeah, I think I ate some of that. It was like one of those where I got some last year. I thought I'd just like, you know, eat a little bit. And the next thing I know, it was like all gone. And I was like, drat.
It's got rice on top of it. So you're just like so full when you're done. But also,
it's so good.
Yeah, it is. And then the same guy does sugar waffles too, which is probably my favorite fair treat, which are hard to find. The sugar waffles aren't out there anymore like they used to be.
I concur. If I would go and, you know, if someone would say, okay, funnel cake, elephant ear, sugar waffle, I'm kind of a sugar waffle fan.
I'm sugar waffle probably every time.
You can get them in a bag to go. Yeah. They're crispy and light. You're not like, ugh.
Nope. And they last a lot longer.
Sure.
So, you know, if you don't finish funnel cake, it's not always the best to rewarm or to try to do later, but sugar waffles, that's my bag.
I dig I would agree with that.
Yeah. So we have sugar waffles too. And then of course, you know, your sausage sandwiches and veals and fishtails and
all the stuff.
Anything and everything. Yeah.
Out parking. If someone's like listening from outside the area and they're like, hey, I want to bring my kids to this festival. This sounds like a lot of fun. Yeah. Again, most of the entertainment free of charge. There's all kind of stuff going on. There's always something going on. Where would you suggest, you know, people go to park, and, you know, what would be a good way to do that?
Yeah, but any on-street parking that's in downtown, of course, you can park in. It gets a little crowded, especially with half of the downtown being taken up by the festival. But so you can park there. And then we have a few lots also through the week. The old Pants Factory. Well, depending on how old you are. It's either the Pants Factory lot or the Chocolate Factory lot. It depends on what you remember being there. So that lot is open except for Saturday because we do the Touch a Truck there. So it's open Saturday evening, but Saturday afternoon, you got to park somewhere else. But one of the easiest places to park is the old Frick's lot, which is the big empty lot right there across from Free Pharmacy and Piggly Wiggly on the corner of Michigan and 2nd.
Just park there.
It's a big open grass lot. There. Absolutely. You just walk not even a half a block and you're in the festival. So that's probably the easiest place to park.
Okay.
The one thing that we urge people not to do is don't park down the railroad tracks. Not literally on the railroad tracks, but people like to pull up to the railroad tracks and they park too close.
That is the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
You know,
like, what?
It's kind of goofy. People just don't judge space very well. So they think they're far enough away, and we've never had a train hit a car, but the trains get stopped because they can't get through or they're worried they can't get through. So we ask people not to park along the railroad tracks.
Yeah, don't do that.
And if you do decide to do that, make sure you're far enough back that a train can get by.
Yes.
I think everybody kind of assumes we don't get a lot of trains anymore, but we still have a train that runs through a couple times a day.
Yeah.
It may only have 2 or 3 cars at times, but it still goes down those tracks and it really can't go around.
And I promise your car is going to lose.
Yes.
If it comes between your car and a train.
Yes, it is going to lose. And then we also like to make sure to tell people be wary with business parking lots because some businesses don't take as kindly to it because they want their customers to be able to get in.
Respect their space.
Absolutely.
You know, and you know, when interestingly enough, we were just talking about the Apple Festival, and it's like, I love the Apple Festival. I want it to succeed, but people need to please be considerate of businesses that are, you know, trying to do their thing.
When the businesses take a hit to some extent those weeks anyway, they get a lot of walk-in people. You know,
sure.
You've got your businesses and you get a lot of walk-in from the festival, but you're also hampered a lot by the festivals too. And our business
everything out of whack.
Absolutely. And our businesses have always been great about it. You know, we don't get a whole lot of pushback. They take it because they love the community and they want things to happen. But the the businesses do have a little bit of a tough time with operations that week. It's hard for their employees to get close. It's hard for their normal customers to get in that may not want to walk through the festival to get there. So it is a tough week. And so, we want people to appreciate what they bring to the community every day, year round, and be respectful of that. And we also don't want people to have to try to find their car when it gets towed. So
don't want that either.
And most of the businesses are pretty good, but some aren't as forgiving. So be careful. There's plenty of empty space around, like the Frick's lot and the Chocolate Factory or Pants Factory lot, and then of course all your on-street parking. So
plenty of places to park your vehicle, and the main thing is just put the kids in the car or the husband or wife in the car and come on out to the Ohio Hill Country Festival, which again will start Wednesday?
Less than a week, yeah.
Holy moly. Always right after Labor Day starts the festival, and right on the downtown streets of Wellston. You can't miss it. And it's just a really, really good start to fair, to the fall fair festival season.
The fall festivals, season. Yeah, we're excited, and it just keeps rolling from there too, right from the HillCo to Apple to Pumpkin shortly after that too. Beaver October. It just one after another.
Yeah, because we brewery wise, we have the Paw Paw Festival in between as well. Yes. So we go straight from that to that to that. It just never ends for a few weeks. My husband and I were just talking about that this morning. Yeah. That was before we talked about eating at Johnny's tonight.
Because the Paw Paw, it moves around a little bit, I think. Because it's occasionally on the same week as us, but not always.
It's typically the weekend in between you all and the Apple Festival. Yeah. So, But, that's a good one, too, down in Lake Snowden.
Yeah, there's a fair this week, too, I think, still. Albany, I think, has their fair.
That wouldn't surprise
this week also. It's just lots of stuff going on.
Don't say there's nothing to do in our area.
No, there's plenty to do in Southern Ohio.
That's right. Yeah. Well, Aaron, thank you so much for stopping by. We appreciate you so much. If you have anything that you think of, let us know. I think we have a video that our good friend Eric did with some folks from the Lillian Jones Museum. And then on the other side of that, we will be back with news and Pete Wilson.
All right, whenever you're ready. All right. What's going on, everyone? It's Eric here from Main Street TV, live from the Main Street TV studio here, and I am joined by Ashley and Abby from the Lillian Jones Museum here in Jackson. Thanks for taking the time to sit with us and joining us, and you guys have some interesting things going on as we wrap up the summer now heading into fall, so why don't you talk with me a little bit about what's going on over at the Lillian Jones Museum?
All right, well, Abby was one of our summer interns this summer, and she worked really hard on revamping the historic home tour that was previously done in the 80s.
There was an edition in 2015.
Yeah, an edition in 2015.
Okay.
So she did that, and then actually from scratch did an architecture tour for downtown, including some of the buildings there.
Okay.
So we've kind of put that out on Facebook and our website, and I will kind of turn it over to her to talk about it because it was her baby.
Okay. So Abby, the floor is yours. First of all, you're an intern. Where'd you go to school at, or where do you go to school at currently?
I graduated this past May from Jackson High School.
Okay.
And I actually leave Saturday to go to college. Okay. I'm going to Yale University and majoring in architecture. So this was right up my alley.
Okay. Well, perfect. Congratulations. So you've taken the time then to go through some of Jackson's finest architecture, our finest houses, business buildings, things like that. So the floor is yours. Talk to us about all that.
Well, I've always loved the downtown in Jackson. My mom works downtown at the city offices, and so before I could drive, I would walk downtown. And like there was a candy shop down there for a while, or I'd walk up to the Spot or Michael's, and I always just thought like there were so many unique buildings in downtown that, and not growing up here, I never really knew like what they used to be, and that's actually what I wrote several of my essays on for college applications, was on telling the stories of small town architecture, because a lot of this stuff, especially with the courthouse fire in the 50s, there's not a whole lot of concrete records on that era of Jackson history.
Right.
And so I was so excited with the museum to get the opportunity and have all the museum's resources to look into I I originally looked into pretty much all of the buildings downtown and like what they used to be, and restaurants switching around and stores opening and closing, and then trying to sort out and figure out like what's the interesting bits that people actually care about.
Right.
And so I looked at tours in Athens, and I got to talk with the creator of an app called Invisible Ground that's in Athens, which is a really neat app if you're ever over there to go check out.
Yeah.
And looked at some tours up in Cleveland and really tried to figure out how I could make that work for Jackson. And so in the tour, I picked the Cambrian, the old Grand Opera House building, the Marquet, the Memorial Building, and then the site of the Gibson Hotel.
Okay.
And I wanted to try and mix, like, obviously the Cambrian a lot of people know about.
Sure.
But like the Gibson House, I had no idea there was ever a building there.
Yeah.
I mean...
Yeah.
Or the Opera House. I think we'd lived here almost 3 or 4 years before I even heard people talk about that there was still the theater upstairs.
Yeah.
And so I wanted to try and mix the obvious buildings that people know about to kind of just highlight more of their history, and then also try some that people hadn't ever known about before. So I did the boring research part where I read through all of Bob Irwin's history books on Jackson, probably 4 or 5 times.
Okay.
And that was my main resource. And then just lots of pictures going through his books and some of the Lillian Jones's personal scrapbooks on the Cambrian.
Yeah.
From when, she grew up there.
Yeah.
And it was her family that owned it. She cut the ribbon after the remodel in the 80s.
Oh, wow.
So getting to see kind of her like little notes in the margins about this hotel was really neat to get to see. And I got to go up into the theater of the Grand Opera House, which was really neat because I've obviously never been up there before, and it was gorgeous. I was so grateful that they were able to let me up there to take pictures of it and have that now on the website with the tour so other people can see that little hidden bit of Jackson history.
So you really dove into this thing. Like Bob Irwin, I'm familiar with his books. I went to Rio, history minor, if you would, had to do a cultural report on Jackson County. So I lived in the same books you lived in there for a little while. He's phenomenal, by the way, phenomenal. No better person to get your research from. But you also have dove into the archives of the Lillian Jones Museum. And I mean, it was extensive what you took the time to do. What was your goal with all of this summer? Was it just to kind of do the heavy lifting and kind of inform the public in a fun way, or what was your real goal with all this?
I guess my goal was to just put it out there, and talking to Brian from Invisible Ground, that's what he said is like the $1 million question with anything like history or trying to kind of mix the history aspect with tourism is just how do you make that information accessible and interesting? Yeah. And I know one thing that like with the original home tour and that we're finding a lot of the museum records is things being on paper. Yeah. So that was one of my goals as someone that's 18. Yeah. So I love everything online. So I wanted to try and move this online. Yeah. Yeah. And just really make something that, someone that's just walking downtown going to work at the courthouse could be like, oh, I wonder what the Cambrian used to be, and could look at these. Or someone with tourism, like I worked at Archinetti's for a long time. We'd have people come in from out of town, be like, you guys have such a cute downtown. So I wanted something that could be used for both tourism and just people wanting to learn more about their community. Okay. And you and our local tourists are right. We do have a beautiful downtown area. We're kind of spoiled here in Jackson. Did you end up kind of learning anything in particular about any one building or anything in particular, like, wow, that really blew me away or wowed me or kind of made it worth your while with all this? Yeah, it was just really neat to watch in the Bob Irwin books, the beginning of each like time segment, he kind of does like almost like a walkthrough of what all the buildings was. Yeah. And it's really neat now, like walking downtown, like I've gone to several of the sidewalk markets this summer, and it's almost like there's like a ghost downtown that we're having, oh, that used to be that. And does your brain see some of these places in black and white? Because mine will. When I see some of them, my brain will go back to these black and white places. Yeah, I've seen like all of these old photos, and it's like a little hidden ghost town that's like underneath the buildings. And so... Yeah, and one of my favorite buildings to read about was just all of the old theaters, like the Opera House where Jackson Transportation is now, and then there was a Crescent Opera House on the other end of downtown where Archinetti's parking lot is now. Okay. And then there was the Victory Theater and the Pastime and the Marquee and the Kmart.
Yeah.
Just thinking that at one point in time in Jackson, there was like 2 opera houses and 6 movie theaters. It's
a lot
just
of entertainment.
insane to think about.
Yeah. That is kind of unique to think about. At one time. That's kind of interesting. If you had to get your hands on any one building today, because you're going into architecture, you're going to Yale. If you had to get your hands on any one building today in Jackson, you could turn it into anything you wanted, what would it be?
Probably the Knights of Pythos building with that beautiful blue exterior and the turrets and all these little details.
Yeah.
And I've just always thought that I remember calling it like the Cinderella building when we first moved here. Like it's just so unique. And that was one in the research I could never really figure out why they built it like that fancy or what it was really ever used for. So that's probably my favorite.
Okay. Now you also highlighted some of the historical homes in Jackson as well. So talk to me about also these homes as well. We've talked about some of these theaters and things like that. Jackson's got some very unique historical homes as well. So talk to me about some of what you learned with the houses.
Yeah, that was a much easier project because there was something already there to build off of. And I worked on that one first because I learned a lot through that I could then apply to the downtown tour. And it was interesting to see because I was working on research. So we had like a little random notes from the 80s and then some of their random notes from the updates in 2015.
Yeah.
But I went back through, I bought this like massive book in Columbus. I was up at a bookstore and it's the Field Guide to American Homes. And it's this big index of home styles. And that book weighs probably like 15 pounds, I swear. And I brought it with me like every day. And I would pull up the houses because it was like the week it was like 95 degrees. I wasn't going out there. I pulled up all the houses on Google Maps and would like go through and try to figure out what home style it was, and then the auditor's website and like finding the year it was built. And then I was able, once I kind of had like a list of names and I was able to kind of figure out when things were built, went to the county recorder's office, and all of the people there in that office were so helpful. I went down there for some of the downtown stuff too, at helping me find out who lived in the houses when, and if it was probably built during this year, then who built it. But then again, with some of those records being gone, a lot of it's just a guessing game on, well, that person built 6 other houses on the street, so they probably built this one too, like things like that. Like they owned it around the same time. So a lot of the details, most houses I don't think I've been in any of the houses that on that street. So it was mostly exterior details is what I focused on. And then again, a lot of the previous editions had just a lot of who had lived in the house and sold it to someone, and then they bought it and lived in there. So I tried to focus on things that if you didn't know who all the previous owners were, like a tourist from out of town or someone just kind of wanting to walk around and look at the houses in the evenings, to kind of focus more on like, oh, look, that window is really neat, or this was built by this person. And I had several of the homeowners contact me too about some of the details.
I was going to ask if you had any cooperations from homeowners themselves.
Yeah.
That's great.
All of I didn't have anyone tell me there was an issue with putting their home on the tour, which was great. And then I had several homeowners reach out to me to let me know about like cool interior details in their house. Like I had a woman send me pictures of, it's called tiger maple. It's like this weird maple, like it's almost like striped once they cut it in for the doors. And they were assuming that it's local is what they were told, that it's like local solid wood doors throughout.
That's cool.
And she sent me some really pretty pictures of it. And then also one of the houses has stained glass windows. But then I found out the homeowner for that one had told me that when they had talked to someone about doing repairs through this glass company in Chillicothe, that actually, I don't know a whole lot about stained glass windows, but only one of them is actually stained glass, and it's this big portrait in the library. So it was kind of interesting to hear about just some of the details for a lot of the homes on the insides that people might not really know of walking by.
It's so unique too, because on the outsides we see, we go by these houses, we walk by them and drive by them and we're like, oh, that's a pretty house. But these are people's homes, I mean, they're people living in these things that are making these decisions. It's so cool that they were so cooperative in working with you, because I think that tells you that there is a lot of pride in these historical homes owned by these homeowners in Jackson. And it also speaks to how friendly the folks of Jackson are. So we appreciate their cooperation. So you compiled all these things, you learned all this information, you figured all these things out. Now what? We've got it all. It's on the internet.
Mm-hmm.
Now what are we doing with it? What's Lillian Jones doing with it, I should say?
Well, you can access the tour through a couple of ways. It's on the Facebook page, both the downtown tour and the home tour. And you can also find it on the Lillian Jones website under the permanent collections tab.
Okay. Yeah, if you visit jonesmuseum.com, across the top, we have a little tab that says permanent collections. If you hover, it'll give you an option to click on either one and you can go through those. And Abby had the foresight to not only make them big computer friendly, but they're all mobile friendly too. So if you want to actually do the historic home tour, she's got a link specifically to a Google map that will take you around so that you can go to each of them and it'll work right on your phone.
Yeah, my wife's 100% going to do that. Yeah, she just switched from Zillow to this, Abby. Thanks for that. I think it's awesome. We appreciate you taking the time to do something so extensive. And I do think it'll go a long way for our community. I mean, we're not the only ones that see some of these places in black and white, I'm sure. You know, I think that there's a lot of folks that, like I said, especially around Christmas time or whatever, my family will drive around and, you know, house to house. Remember this one that does this at Christmas time? Yeah, I remember, Mom.
Yeah, and it was interesting to see, like, with the history books and then working at the museum, I guess there was so many famous people from Jackson. I mean, there was people from Jackson that won Oscars or played in professional baseball or played, starred in shows on Broadway and wrote the Buckeye, like OSU theme song and successful architects and people doing just about anything that you can imagine that came from Jackson. A lot of them lived in some of those houses, like Fletcher Benton lived in grew up in one of the houses there. A lot of them were relatives of the Jones family that lived at some of the houses. Most of them have some Jones connection.
So these are also things that went into your research as well, I'm sure. Things that you can learn by going on and taking a look at this tour and being a part of it. That's awesome. That's great. Yeah. Abby, Ashley, the Lillian Jones Museum, representing one of our finest local museums here in town. Anything else you'd like to touch on? We appreciate you taking the time to come in and chat with us. This is awesome.
I know as the museum, Abby was one of 3 interns we had this summer and they all did amazing work. This tour, hopefully now it's updated and now it's online and people can enjoy it for a long time to come. And maybe if we can get Abby to come back to us next year after she's gotten a taste away, maybe we can add to it some more.
Okay, so Jackson High School grad, you're headed on to Yale. You're leaving, did you say tomorrow?
I leave Saturday.
A couple of days. Well, best of luck to you. Thank you for taking the time to do what you do. Congratulations on your graduation. And Ashley, we got to get her back. We're going to get her back to the Lillian Jones Museum. That's awesome. Ashley and Abby, thank you so much for taking the time. And be sure to head over to the Lillian Jones Museum Facebook page or website and check out, the home tour and the historical tour.